Good morning. Barry Bryson here. We're continuing our study of the biographical Psalms of David. And last time we were together, we really did finish that study in that we read the last biographical psalm. The first biographical psalm of David is Psalm 3, and the last biographical psalm of David is Psalm 142. Both of them cries for help. But I wanted us to look at Psalm 145, which is the last Psalm of David in the hymn book. And in a very real way, it is the end of the conclusion of the book of Psalms. Because if we think of the book of Psalms, 150 songs in this cycle, 5 books of songs, but together in one masterwork of 150 songs in the hymn book. Psalm 146 through 150, the last 5, are a crescendo, where the word hallelujah is used increasingly frequently in each song. And so if we think about this musically, if this were being performed as a song cycle by a great symphony or a great chorus, then we have finished the body of the work with Psalm 145, which is a praise song, David's praise song, and a perfect and complete praise song. And then we'd have the big finale with the timpanis, brum, or the basses, banging away while the sopranos hit the B above high C, That's the way the book of Psalms ends, with this crescendo, so that in Psalm 150, every line starts with hallelujah, which is praise Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Before that crescendo, we have this concluding song, which is the last song by David, Psalm 145. So let's read it. A song of praise of David. I will extol you, my God and King, and bless your name forever and ever. Every day I will bless you and praise your name forever and ever. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall commend your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts. On the glorious splendor of your majesty and on your wondrous works I will meditate. They shall speak of the might of your awesome deeds, and I will declare your greatness. They shall pour forth the great fame of your abundant goodness and shall sing aloud of your righteousness. Already in verses 1 through 7, we have David's intention. We have past, present, and future. And he begins by saying, this is what I'm going to do, and this is why, and this is what everyone else is going to do, and I'm included in that everyone else. Okay? So I'm going to do this forever, and right now I'm doing it every day. And I'm doing it because of what you've done in the past. So we have past, present, and future. Great is the Lord, greatly to be praised. His greatness is unsearchable. There's no way for us to ever understand it, but he's going to try to start to list it in this psalm, beginning with verse 8. Notice that he's said every generation, this is going to be handed down through the generations, past, present, and future, and I'm doing it right now. I'm going to keep doing it myself. Notice that in Psalm 23, David, who was a shepherd, realized that God is his shepherd. And in verse 1, David, who is a king, realizes that God is his king. And then in verse 8, and all the way through to the very last verse, verse 21, verses 8 through 20, we have the greatness of God described, cataloged. It is not even a table of contents, because God's greatness is unsearchable. But the kind of greatness that he describes. In the past, he's described God's great deliverance, how mighty he is, that he breathes fire, that he makes the earth quake, that everybody's afraid of him, that he's bigger than the universe. But what he celebrates in verses 8 through 20 is God's love for us and his tender care of us. And that's the conclusion, in a very real sense, of the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms, we start with wisdom and need, and we end with praise. And David is leading us to the crescendo that ends the book of Psalms by saying, this is why God is so great. It's not for all those reasons that we're afraid. It's for all those reasons that we love him, because he loves us and cares for us. He's done that first. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. The Lord is good to all, and his mercy is over all that he has made. All your works shall give thanks to you, O Lord. All your saints shall bless you. They shall speak of the glory of your kingdom and tell of your power, to make known to the children of man your mighty deeds, the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures throughout all generations. The Lord is faithful in all his words and kind in all his works. The Lord upholds all who are failing and raises all who are bowed down. The eyes of all who look to you and give their food in due season. You open your hand, you satisfy the desire of every living thing. The Lord is righteous in all of his ways and kind in all his works. The Lord is near to all who call him, to all who call on him in truth. He fulfills the desire of those who fear him. He also hears of their cry and saves them. The Lord preserves all who love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth will speak of the praise of the Lord. Let all flesh bless his holy name forever and ever. Now, 21 verses, maybe 22 verses. That leads us to believe, and of course it is, an acrostic. There are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. And when you use an acrostic, you're saying, I'm covering this subject, or I'm trying to, from A to Z. And he does mention judgment in the very, in one line. The second line of the 20th verse. The rest of it is about God's goodness and how he loves us. Some of the oldest manuscripts don't have what is in the ESV, the second part of verse 13, which makes verse 13 too long, which would make it verse 14, which would make this 22 verses and make it a complete acrostic instead of missing one letter, one line. And it is the Lord is faithful in all his words and kind in all of his works. But that would also make it the very center thought of the lesson itself, of the psalm itself. I tend to think it belongs there. And that this is a complete acrostic. Okay, fitting in to the book of Psalms, we're going to look at Psalm 131 next time, and go into the heart of David as we did when we started. And then we're going to take a little time to talk about some of the major lessons we've learned from these biographical songs.